But what I see in you, you ain't even got enough to give up. That will qualify you for what I'm about to do.
Come on now.
Did y'all hear what I just said?
Yes, sir.
You ain't got enough money in the bank to pay for this one.
That's right.
You ain't got enough clap in your city to pay for this one. You ain't got enough employees under you on your job to pay for this one. You ain't got enough academia in your genetic makeup to pay for this one. But he says, I see something on the inside of you. And what I see on the inside of you qualifies you for what I'm about to do. You ought to look at your neighbor and say, you don't see what he sees. So stop looking so hard. You ought to look at your other neighbor and say, don't sweat me like that. Don't sweat me like that. Just because I don't talk the way you talk, don't sweat me like that. Just because I don't dress the way you dress, don't sweat me like that. Just because I don't drive the kind of car you drive, don't sweat me like that. Just because I don't go the places you go, don't sweat me like that. God says to Samuel when he went to Jesse's house, he said, Samuel, man looks at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart. You ought to look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, as long as my heart stay pure, I ain't got to worry about what you think about me. You ought to look at your other neighbor and say, neighbor, as long as my heart stay pure, I ain't got to worry about what you say about me. You ought to look at the person behind you and give them a high five and say, neighbor, he did it, he did it, he did it. 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 Is there anybody here that can testify on this third Sunday afternoon that God was the one that did it in your life? Is there anybody here that can testify when I found myself locked up in some stuff? It was God that unlocked the door for me. If I can get 1 to 2 witnesses, stand up and high five your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that the Lord was on my side. Grab that neighbor's hand and shake it like you're going to shake it off and say, neighbor, you did it. You did it. You did it. He did it. He did it. When I was sick in my body, he healed me. When I was sick in my mind, he delivered me. When I needed food, he fed me. When I needed a lawyer, he came. When I needed a sacrifice, he stood up on a tree. He did it. He did it. The question was asked, who is he? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, who is he? Who gave you the right to stand up in here today? Look at your other neighbor and ask your other neighbor, who is he? Well, if we gotta tell you who he is, I would go down through the archives of time. Adam declared that he was a redeemer. Abel said he was a vindicator. Noah said that he was an ark. Abraham said he was my sacrifice. Moses said he was my bush on fire. Joshua said he was my battle axe. Gideon said he was my fleece. Samson said he was my power. David said he was my music. And Solomon said he was my wisdom. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, is that enough? Or should I continue? Jeremiah said he's a bomb in Gilead. Ezekiel said he's a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Matthew called him the King of Kings. Mark said he was a suffering servant. Luke called him the great physician. John said he was the Word made flesh. Acts called him the coming of the Holy Ghost. Now you ought to look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, what do you call him? What do a stormy land. He's a bridge over troubled waters. He's a lawyer in a court